Involve your home medical equipment supplier and your healthcare providers. Lean on them for support and direction. Rely on your healthcare professional for guidance and direction. Call your healthcare professional if you experience upset stomach that lasts 24 hours, vomiting, signs of dehydration, unusual weakness, fever, blood in stool, might be bright red on the outside or black and tarry, blood in or around the feeding tube, unusual, excessive, or foul-smelling drainage from the stoma, formula or stomach contents leaking around the tube site, red, sore, or swollen tube site, tube clog that you can't flush with warm water, diarrhea that lasts days, no bowel movement in 2 days, unintentional or significant weight loss or gain. There are many people and organizations available to help you adjust to tube feeding at home. The Oley Foundation is a nonprofit organization that enriches the lives of patients dependent on home tube and IV feeding through education, outreach, and networking. Contact them to meet other tube feeders and learn more about living fully on tube feeding. All services are offered free of charge for patients and their families.
It's very important for tube feeders to get involved with the Oley Foundation. It helps you feel so that they're not isolated. It helps them adjust and see that there is a possibility for a very normal and full and productive life. There's a real sense of loss at the beginning. You know, if you've lost your ability to eat, it doesn't matter whether it was a stroke or an accident. It's a very difficult thing. So coping with that loss and coping with the fear of the unknown, I think it's very, very important to speak with other people who have been doing tube feeding successfully for a long time. They can realize how inspiring it is to see that it's just another part of their day. They just had to learn how to do something a little bit differently. Some of the typical questions that early tube feeders have are things like, can I bathe with this tube? How do I clean now? You know, can I take a shower? Can I take a bath? And questions like that, as well as how to avoid some of the complications like a leaky tube, or how to support your tube so that it doesn't get tugged or pulled. We have answers to those sort of things. One of the terrific resources that the Oley Foundation offers patients and their families is a website that just can't be beat. It's got information on everything from how to avoid complications when you're tube feeding to how to travel. We have an equipment supply exchange, just a wealth of information. Any question you could think of on tube feeding practically has an answer on there. And if we don't, we've got a section where you can send us a question or a comment. It's very important for tube feeders to be supported by other tube feeders because there's things that only another tube feeder will understand. That body image, as much as your spouse or a friend can tell you, oh, it doesn't matter, that's not what we're looking at. Another tube feeder can feel that, relate to it, and just listen and understand. One concept that new tube feeders often don't realize is how prevalent it is in normal society. Because people, especially with low-profile tubes, it's not apparent that as many people are on tube feeding as there are people out there doing tube feeding. To recognize they're not alone. And even if they feel uncomfortable with reaching out to another tube feeder, I would highly encourage them to do that. Because all of a sudden the light goes on, they realize that you can live totally normally. You can go back to work, you can go to school, you can go swimming, you can travel. They just don't understand. They think that life may have ended or a way of life has ended, and really the only thing that's ended is that their struggle with nutrition is over. You know, they've got a nutrition system now that will keep them as healthy as they were before, if not healthier.
Once you get comfortable with how to tube feed, you'll find ways to weave tube feeding into your unique lifestyle. You can take tube feedings almost anywhere you want. Some people like to tube feed at the table with the family, while others like to take feedings alone. Try different ways and talk to your family and friends to decide what works best for you. For feeding away from home, if you can get around well, You may want to look into a portable pump. Ask your supplier or your healthcare professional if such a pump is right for you. Sometimes health problems make it impossible to eat or digest traditional food. That shouldn't deprive life of meaning and joy. With a little time and practice, you will successfully learn how to incorporate tube feeding into your lifestyle. Give it time. Don't give up. We hope this program helps you become confident in your ability to administer tube feedings at home. If you have any questions about your care, always contact your healthcare professional.
If you're going to go through this, it's to be active, so, it's a good thing.
I've put my life on hold for so long because of my illness that now I'm like getting out and actually knowing that I can do those things.
This is not the end of the world. It's not as hard as you think. It's one of those things that takes time and practice. The more you do it, the better you'll become at it.
I want to be healthy. I want to do things. I have my husband. I have friends around me who, really support me.
When you become better at it, you can make it fit your life. I live my life accordingly, and I just work the tube in.